The fluorescent lights flickered and died. In the darkness of room 217, four shadows circled like predators. Mason Bradley's voice cut through the black. Bark! Bark like the little bitch you are! Sofia Martinez stood frozen, her hands trembling against the cold metal desk. Tears streamed down her face, but her eyes held something else entirely. Something dangerous. Please, she whispered. Just let me go home. Mason laughed. The sound echoed off empty walls. His breath reeked of energy drinks and arrogance as he leaned closer. Home? You think you get to just walk out? His football championship ring caught the moonlight from the window. Nah, Miss Martinez, you disrespected me. Now you pay. If you're feeling that rush of what's going to happen next, hit that like button. It really helps more people discover these stories. And if you want to share where you're watching from, drop it in the comments below. For those who want to support more stories like this one, there's a thanks button right under this video. Every contribution, no matter how small, helps me bring you more inspiring tales of courage and standing up for what's right. Thank you for being here. Now, let's see what happens when push comes to shove. 3 months earlier, Sofia had driven her beat-up Honda Civic through the gates of Jefferson High School, with hope blooming in her chest. 24 years old, fresh out of her teaching certification, ready to change lives. Her father's words echoed in her mind as she parked. Maya, the world isn't kind to the weak, but you're not weak. You're my daughter. The August, Texas sun beat down mercilessly as she walked toward the main entrance. 2,500 students attended Jefferson High, and she was about to meet them all. Her hands gripped her lesson plans tighter. Romeo and Juliet. To Kill a Mockingbird. Poetry that could open minds and hearts. She had so many dreams. You must be the new English teacher, a warm voice called out. Dorothy Hughes. The principal stood at the entrance with a practiced smile. Her navy suit looked expensive. Her handshake felt political. Welcome to Jefferson High. We're so thrilled to have fresh energy here. Sofia smiled back, not yet understanding the weight behind those words. Not yet knowing that fresh energy meant fresh meat in the halls of Jefferson High. Her first class started at 8:15, room 217. Second floor, corner of the building. She arrived early, arranged the desks in a semicircle, wrote her name on the board in careful script. Miss Martinez. Below it, a quote, "The pen is mightier than the sword." Students trickled in slowly. Most seemed normal sleepy teenagers, clutching coffee cups and checking phones. Then the energy shifted. The temperature seemed to drop despite the August heat. Mason Bradley entered like he owned the air itself. 6'3", 220 pounds of entitled muscle. His Letterman jacket bore more patches than a military uniform. Behind him, 3 teammates followed like trained dogs. Zachary Kim, Dakota Wells, and River Thompson. They took seats in the back row, feet up on desks, eyes cold. Good morning, everyone! Sofia's voice rang clear and confident. I'm Miss Martinez, and we're going to have an incredible year exploring literature together. Yo, Miss Martinez, Mason interrupted, not bothering to raise his hand. Why we gotta read about dead white people? The class held its breath. First day. First test. Sofia had trained for this moment in 100 education seminars, but reality hit different. She smiled, walked closer to Mason's desk. That's actually a brilliant question. Literature isn't just about dead white people, it's about understanding the human experience across all cultures and times. In fact, next month we're reading Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. But today, we start with Romeo and Juliet because even 400 years later, it teaches us about the destructive power of hate. She paused, looked directly at Mason, and how love requires courage. Someone snickered. A girl in the front row whispered, "Dumb." She got him. Mason's jaw tightened. His boys shifted uncomfortably. In 3 years at Jefferson High, no teacher had ever made Mason Bradley look foolish, not even for a second. Whatever, he muttered. But the damage was done. Sophia 1. Mason 0. The next few weeks unfolded like a careful dance. Sophia taught with passion, bringing stories to life. Most students responded well. They wrote essays about their own experiences, connected with characters across centuries. But Mason's group remained a dark cloud in the corner. Small things at first. Accidental shoulder checks in the hallway. Crude drawings left on her desk. Whispers that stopped when she walked by. Sophia documented everything. Filed reports with Principal Hughes. Boys will be boys, Hughes said during their third meeting, her manicured nails tapping on her mahogany desk. Behind her, a trophy case gleamed with photos of championship teams. Mason's face appeared in most of them. Most valuable player 3 years running. Mason's had a tough home life. His father, well, let's just say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But he's our ticket to state championships. The alumni donations alone. She trailed off. Realized she'd said too much. What I mean is, we need to handle these situations delicately. Perhaps you could try building rapport with him. Sophia left that meeting with a sick feeling in her stomach. In the teacher's lounge, she overheard fragments of conversation. Remember Miss Coleman last year? Poor thing. They found her crying in her car every morning. Mason and his crew made her life hell until she quit. Hughes didn't do anything then either. The whispers stopped when they noticed Sophia listening. An older teacher, Miss Patterson, touched her shoulder gently. Just keep your head down. Dear, only 2 more years until Mason graduates. 2 years. Sophia thought of her students who actually wanted to learn, who needed someone to believe in them. She couldn't abandon them. She wouldn't. October arrived with its false promises of cooler weather. Texas held onto summer heat like a grudge. In room 217, Sophia introduced To Kill a Mockingbird. This novel challenges us to confront injustice, she explained, writing themes on the board. It asks what courage really means. This book is racist. Miss Mason's voice cut through her lecture. You're racist for teaching it. The accusation hung in the air like smoke. His crew immediately backed him up. Yeah. Why we reading the N-word in class? This is supposed to be a safe space. I'm offended. Their mock outrage might have been funny if it wasn't so calculated. Sophia recognized the trap. Defend the book and seem racist. Abandon it and lose all authority. You raise an important point, she said carefully. Literature often contains uncomfortable truths about our past. That's precisely why we need to examine it critically. The racism in this book isn't endorsed. It's exposed and condemned. Harper Lee forces us to see, nah, you're just making excuses. Mason stood up. His height meant to intimidate. I think we need to talk to Principal Hughes about this inappropriate content. He stormed out, his crew following. The remaining students sat in shocked silence. Is he serious? A girl named Madison asked. He's not wrong about the language being problematic. Another student offered nervously. Sophia spent the rest of class trying to salvage the discussion. But the damage was done. 5 minutes later, Mason returned with a hall pass and a smirk. He'd been to Hughes, made his complaint, and been sent right back. After class, Hughes called Sophia to her office. Mason feels targeted in your class. The principal began without preamble. He says you're teaching inflammatory material. To Kill a Mockingbird is standard curriculum. I'm not saying remove it. Just, I'll be sensitive to student concerns. We can't afford controversy. Not with the school board elections coming up. Sophia left feeling like she'd been punched. In the hallway, Mason waited by her classroom door. His phone out. Check this out. Miss. He showed her the screen. A video of her losing control in class cleverly edited to remove all context. She appeared to be ranting while students looked terrified. 1 click, and you're viral. Think how that'll look on your teaching record. That's doctored footage. You can't. Can't what? Post a video I took in public school? First Amendment? Miss. You should know that. Being a teacher and all. His crew laughed. Zachary Kim held up his own phone, recording their interaction. "This is gold. Bro, everything okay here? Miss Martinez?" Officer Marcus Washington appeared like a guardian angel. The school resource officer was built like a linebacker gone slightly soft, but his presence still commanded respect. His hand rested casually on his radio. Mason's demeanor shifted instantly. "Just talking about class." Officer Washington. "Right. Miss Martinez?" Sophia wanted to scream the truth. But what evidence did she have? A doctored video versus the word of Jefferson High's golden boy? "We're fine," she managed. Washington's eyes lingered on her face. "Reading something there. Mason, don't you boys have practice?" "Yeah. We're going." Mason shoulder-checked Sophia as he passed, making it look accidental. "See you tomorrow." "Miss..." After they left, Washington remained. "You sure you're okay?" Sophia's voice cracked slightly. "I don't know what to do. He's got that video. And Hughes won't help. And I know about Mason." Washington's voice dropped low. "Been watching him for 3 years. But without concrete evidence, without someone willing to stand up," he shrugged helplessly. "My hands are tied, but I'm keeping an eye on things. You're not alone." It was the first kindness she'd experienced in weeks. Sophia blinked back tears. "Thank you." That night, she sat in her tiny apartment, staring at a photo on her nightstand. Her father in his marine dress blues, medals gleaming. He died 2 years ago. Cancer, taking him faster than any enemy combatant ever could. But his lessons lived on. She could almost hear his voice. "Maya, I'm not teaching you to fight so you can hurt people. I'm teaching you so you'll never be a victim. Krav Maga isn't about violence, it's about survival." 8-year-old Sophia throwing punches at a bag twice her size. 12-year-old Sophia learning to break holds. 16-year-old Sophia sparring with trained soldiers during family day at the base. Her father's proud smile when she dropped a man 3 times her size. "The world isn't kind to the weak," he'd said. "But you're not weak. You're my daughter." She traced his face in the photo. Would he be proud of her now, letting a teenage bully terrorize her? Or would he be disappointed that she hadn't already ended this? November crawled by in a series of escalations. Mason grew bolder. He'd wait until Sophia was alone, corner her with his crew, make increasingly disturbing comments. "Heard your daddy was a Marine," he said one afternoon, blocking her path to the parking lot. "Bet he's real proud of his little girl playing teacher." "Oh, wait." Mason's grin turned vicious. "He's dead, isn't he?" The words hit like physical blows. Sophia's hands clenched into fists, muscle memory begging to be unleashed. But she forced herself to breathe, to walk away. "That's right. Run away." Mason called after her. "Just like Miss Coleman, just like all the others." Others, plural. How many teachers had this monster driven away? She started staying late to avoid him, grading papers until the building emptied. It felt safer, somehow, being alone in her classroom. She could pretend things were normal, that her students were learning, that she was making a difference. December brought early darkness and empty hallways. 6:15 on a Thursday evening. Sophia finally packed up her bag. The cleaning crew usually left by 5:30. But she'd grown comfortable with the solitude. The first sign something was wrong came when she tried to leave. Her classroom door wouldn't budge. Not stuck locked. From the outside. Her phone showed no signal. She tried again. Nothing. Like the air itself was blocking the waves. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. Slow. Deliberate. The lights began shutting off one by one. Darkness creeping closer. Her windows faced the wrong direction. No one would see her from the parking lot. The footsteps stopped outside her door. Then came the scraping of a key in the lock. Mason Bradley stood silhouetted in the doorway, his massive frame blocking any escape. Behind him, 3 shadows. Zachary Kim, Dakota Wells, River Thompson. They filed in slowly, spreading out to block all routes. Working late again. Miss Martinez? Mason's voice dripped false concern. That's dedication. We appreciate that. Don't we, boys? Murmurs of agreement. Zachary held up his phone, already recording. What do you want? Sophia kept her voice steady, though her heart hammered against her ribs. Want? We're here to learn. Mason stepped closer. The door clicked shut behind them. See, you've been teaching us all about courage and justice and standing up to injustice. Real inspiring stuff. He was close enough now that she could smell the protein shake on his breath. See the cruel anticipation in his eyes. But there's something you didn't teach us. He continued. What happens when the weak try to act strong? When little girls forget their place? Mason, this isn't… Shut up! The roar came from nowhere, his facade of calm shattering. You think you're better than us? Better than me? You embarrassed me, disrespected me, made me look stupid. I never. His hand slammed onto her desk. I said, shut up! You want to leave this room? You want to go home to your empty apartment and cry about your dead daddy? Then you're gonna learn some respect first. The other boys shifted uncomfortably. River Thompson looked like he might be sick. Mason, maybe we should… Dakota started. Maybe you should shut your mouth before I shut it for you. Mason never took his eyes off Sophia. Now, Ms. Martinez, you're going to do exactly what I say, or that video of you being racist in class goes viral tonight. Every parent, every news station, every college that might hire you, your career ends before it starts. Sophia's mind raced. The security cameras. There had to be… She glanced up at the corner. The red light that usually blinked was dark. They'd thought of everything. Here's what's gonna happen. Mason continued, savoring each word. You're gonna get on your knees. And you're gonna bark like a dog. Because that's what you are. A little bitch who needs to learn her place. I won't. You will. His voice turned ice cold. Just like Miss Coleman did. Just like Miss Patterson before her. Oh yeah. She didn't mention that part. Did she? How we made her bark and beg until she pissed herself right here on this floor. Zachary laughed. High and nervous. Remember how she transferred to Austin the next week? Good times. Mason agreed. So what's it gonna be? Miss Martinez, you gonna bark? Or do we escalate this? Tears spilled down Sophia's cheeks, not from fear, from rage, from the sick realization of how many victims there had been, how many lives these boys had destroyed while the school protected them. Please, she whispered, just let me go. I won't say anything. Oh, you'll go. After you bark. Mason pulled out his own phone. Matter of fact, let's make this educational. You can bark out the alphabet. Nice and loud. The boys circled closer. Sophia's legs shook as she considered her options. 4 of them. 1 exit. No, help coming. Her father's voice echoed in her mind. Assess. Adapt. Survive. I'm waiting. Mason growled. On your knees? Now. Sophia's knees buckled, but not from submission. She was shifting her weight, finding her center, just like her father taught her. Let them think they'd won. Let them get comfortable. That's better, Mason said as she knelt. Now bark. Bark! She opened her mouth. But what came out wasn't a bark. It was a whisper. So quiet Mason had to lean down to hear it. What was that? I said. Sophia's eyes met his. And for the first time, Mason saw what lurked beneath her tears. My father already taught me everything I need to know. The silence that followed felt like the pause between lightning and thunder. Mason's face contorted with rage as he reached for her hair. You think your dead Marine daddy can save you now? His fingers tangled in her dark strands, yanking hard. You're about to learn what happens when… Time slowed. Sophia's muscle memory kicked in like a long-dormant engine roaring to life. Her father's lessons flooded back in a cascade of preparation meeting opportunity. 8 years old on the mat. 12 years old, breaking holds. 16 years old, dropping soldiers. 24 years old, done being a victim. Her body moved before her mind could second guess. The elbow strike came from below, driving up with the force of years of suppressed rage straight into Mason's solar plexus. The impact was devastating. Mason Bradley's 220 pounds of muscle flew backward like he'd been hit by a freight train. His body crashed into desks, sending them scattering. The sound of his lungs emptying echoed through the room, a whoosh, followed by desperate gasping. Zachary Kim stood frozen for exactly 1.5 seconds before his loyalty overrode his shock. "You crazy bit." He never finished the sentence. Sophia was already moving, her body flowing like water. Zachary charged forward, phone clattering to the floor. His wild haymaker might have worked in a schoolyard fight, but against someone trained by a Marine Force recon instructor, it was laughably telegraphed. Sophia ducked under his swing, her knee driving up into his groin with surgical precision. The scream that tore from Zachary's throat hit registers usually reserved for sopranos. He crumpled, hands clutching his destroyed future children. Dakota Wells tried to run for the door. Fear had replaced any thought of loyalty, but panic made him clumsy. Sophia's foot swept his legs before he made it 3 steps. He hit the linoleum hard, chin bouncing off the floor with a crack that suggested expensive dental work in his future. River Thompson pressed himself against the wall, hands raised in surrender. "Please, I didn't want to. They made me." "Made you?" Sophia's voice was steady despite the adrenaline flooding her system. "Made you terrorize innocent women? They have a video of me." Tears streamed down River's face. "From freshman year. I was with another boy. And they filmed it. And if it gets out, my dad will literally kill me." The revelation hung in the air. Even through her rage, Sophia felt a flicker of pity. Another victim in Mason's web of cruelty. "Where's the video?" she asked. River pointed at Zachary's phone with a shaking finger. "He keeps everything in a folder called insurance. All of us. All the teachers. Everything they've done." Sophia picked up the phone. Face ID wouldn't work with Zachary semi-conscious, but River knew the passcode. "He made us all share passwords. Said it was for accountability." The folder opened like Pandora's box. Video after video, labeled with names and dates. Miss Coleman on her knees, barking through sobs. Miss Patterson begging. 3 other teachers Sophia didn't recognize. And students, God. So many students. Kids Mason had tormented. Humiliated. Broken. "There's more," River whispered. "Sarah Chen. She killed herself last year." After they posted her video online, the phone nearly slipped from Sophia's numb fingers. A suicide. They'd driven a child to suicide and kept going like nothing happened. Mason groaned from his spot among the overturned desks, trying to push himself up. His face had turned an interesting shade of purple. "You're dead. Gano. Sue." "No," Sophia said quietly. "You're done." The door burst open. Officer Marcus Washington filled the frame, hand on his weapon, taking in the scene with professional calm. 3 boys down, 1 crying against the wall, and Sophia Martinez standing in the center like an avenging angel. "Godanoise complaint," Washington said mildly. "Something about screaming. Everyone alive in here?" "Unfortunately," Sophia replied, holding up Zachary's phone. "Officer, I need to show you something." Washington's expression darkened as he scrolled through the evidence. 23 years on the force, 5 in the military before that, and the videos still made him sick. "Jesus Christ, there's a suicide," Sophia said. "Sarah Chen." "I remember Sarah." Washington's jaw clenched. "Sweet kid. Her parents never knew why she— Holy hell." He pulled out his radio. "This is Washington. I need backup at Jefferson High. Room 217. And call Detective Morrison. Tell him we've got evidence in the Chen case." He paused. "And send ambulances. 3 suspects need medical attention." 4. Dakota groaned from the floor. "Spitting blood. Pretty sure I lost a tooth." "Self-defense," Sophia said. "They locked me in. Jammed my phone signal. Ma'am, I'm not arresting you. Washington actually smiled. I'm recommending you for a commendation. About damn time someone stood up to these psychopaths. The next hour blurred together. Real police arrived. Not just school security. Paramedics checked the boys bruised, but nothing permanent. Parents were called. The videos were cataloged as evidence. Mason's father, Richard Bradley, arrived drunk and belligerent. Where's my son? What lying bitch is trying to frame him? He took a swing at Officer Washington. That earned him his own handcuffs and a ride in a separate squad car. Assault on a police officer, Washington noted cheerfully. That's a felony. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But the real explosion came when Principal Dorothy Hughes arrived. She took one look at the scene and went pale. This is a misunderstanding. These are good boys from good families. Principal Hughes, Detective Morrison interrupted. We've found emails in the evidence folder, messages between you and several parents discussing handling teacher complaints. You want to lawyer up before we continue this conversation? Hughes's practiced political smile finally cracked. I want my attorney. By midnight, the story had leaked. Local news picked it up first. Teacher fights back. Martial arts training saves educator from assault. By morning, it was national. The video, carefully edited to protect victim identities, showed enough to horrify viewers across the country. Sophia found herself in a surreal whirlwind. Reporters called constantly. Her student teaching supervisor from college appeared on 3 talk shows. Someone dug up her father's military record, adding another layer to the story. Daughter of decorated Marine refuses to be victim. But the most powerful moment came 3 days later. Sophia was preparing to return to school. The district had given her paid leave. But she insisted on teaching when a knock came at her classroom door. A woman in her 30s stood there. Familiar, but changed. It took Sophia a moment to recognize her from the staff photos. Miss Coleman? Janet, the woman corrected. Stepping inside. I saw the news. I had to come back. To thank you. Behind her. Others appeared. Miss Patterson. 2 teachers. Sophia didn't know. Parents of students from the videos. They filled her classroom. Some crying. Some smiling. All looking at her with something like awe. You did what we couldn't. Janet Coleman said. You fought back. You won. I got lucky. Sophia started. No. An Asian woman stepped forward. I'm Sarah Chen's mother. You got justice. For my baby. For all of them. They told us she was depressed. That we missed the signs. We blamed ourselves for 2 years. The room dissolved into tears and embraces. Stories poured out. Years of abuse. Cover-ups. Threats. The Bradleys' wealth and influence had protected Mason like armor. But Sophia had found the weak spot. The legal proceedings moved faster than anyone expected. The video evidence was overwhelming. Mason was charged as an adult assault, false imprisonment, extortion, and connection to Sarah Chen's death. His previous victims testified one after another. Mason's lawyer tried to play the troubled youth card. My client comes from a difficult home environment. His father's alcoholism. Millions of kids have alcoholic parents. The prosecutor interrupted. They don't torture teachers and drive classmates to suicide. The judge agreed. 5 years in prison. Possibility of parole in 3. With good behavior and completed therapy. It wasn't enough for some. Too much for others. But it was justice of a sort. Zachary Kim got 18 months probation and mandatory counseling. Dakota Wells got community service. River Thompson, in exchange for his testimony, received immunity and protection from his abusive father. Principal Dorothy Hughes faced criminal negligence charges. The investigation revealed years of covered-up incidents, silenced victims, and payoffs. She'd protected predators for the sake of donations and reputation. 3 years, in minimum security, teaching license permanently revoked. The school district settled the civil suits for $10 million, distributed among the victims' families. New policies were implemented overnight. Cameras in every classroom, panic buttons for teachers, mandatory self-defense training, and real zero-tolerance policies with teeth. Sophia became something she'd never wanted a symbol. Invitations to speak at conferences, offers from advocacy groups, book deals. She turned most of them down. She just wanted to teach. But one appearance she couldn't refuse. CNN wanted her for a primetime special on school violence. She sat across from Anderson Cooper, trying not to fidget under the studio lights. "Your story has inspired thousands," Cooper said. "Teachers across the country are taking self-defense classes. What's your message to them?" Sophia thought carefully. "I'm not proud of using violence. It should always be the last resort. But silence isn't safety. Silence protects predators and enables abuse. Sometimes, when all other systems fail, we have to protect ourselves and others. Your father would be proud." Cooper noted. "I hope so." Sophia's voice cracked slightly. "He taught me that strength isn't about hurting others. It's about protecting those who can't protect themselves. Every teacher, every student deserves to feel safe at school." The interview aired to 12 million viewers. Donations poured in for school safety programs. Martial arts dojos reported surges in teacher enrollments. The Martinez method became shorthand for empowerment through preparation. 6 months later, May sunshine streamed through the windows of Jefferson High's auditorium. The Teacher of the Year ceremony was packed with students, parents, and media. Sophia sat in the front row, uncomfortable in her formal dress, wishing she could disappear. This year's recipient, the superintendent announced, exemplifies courage, dedication, and the protective spirit every educator should embody. Sophia Martinez. The standing ovation felt surreal. Sophia made her way to the podium, looking out at hundreds of faces. Her students sat in the middle section, beaming with pride. Some held signs, "Miss M is our hero," and "Real courage in room 217. "Thank you," she began, voice steady despite her nerves. "When I became a teacher, I dreamed of changing lives through literature. I never imagined." The lights cut out. Screams erupted in the darkness. Emergency lighting kicked in, casting eerie shadows. Parents grabbed children. Security guards rushed toward the exits. "Everyone remain calm!" The superintendent's voice boomed. "It's just a power issue. You ruined my family?" A figure charged from the darkness toward the stage. Young, male, filled with rage. Security moved to intercept, but wouldn't make it in time. Sophia's body reacted before her mind processed the threat. She sidestepped the rushing attacker, using his momentum against him. A simple redirect, and he crashed into the podium. Security swarmed him. The lights flickered back on, revealing a teenager, maybe 17. He was crying now. Fight gone, curled on the stage. "You destroyed everything," he sobbed. "My cousin's in prison because of you." Mason's cousin. Of course. The cycle trying to continue itself. But Sophia didn't attack. Instead, she knelt beside him as security held him down. "What's your name?" "Tyler. Tyler Bradley." "Tyler, your cousin hurt people. Many people. Some who never recovered. One who died. Do you understand that? He wasn't that bad at home. He protected me from Uncle Richard when he got drunk. Mason was all I had." The auditorium held its breath. Sophia felt the weight of the moment. The choice between perpetuating violence or breaking the cycle. "Tyler, violence creates more violence. Your cousin learned it from your uncle and tried to pass it on. But we can stop it here." She looked at the security guards. "Let him up. Don't press charges." "Ma'am, he attacked you. He's a scared kid who lost the only person who protected him." Sophia helped Tyler sit up. But protection through fear isn't love. It's control. Your cousin controlled people through violence and humiliation. That's not strength. Then what is? Tyler's voice was small, broken. Strength is protecting others without becoming a monster yourself. It's standing up to bullies even when you're scared. It's choosing to break the cycle instead of continuing it. She stood, offering Tyler her hand. After a moment's hesitation, he took it. "Mason hurt you too, didn't he?" she asked quietly. Tyler's sob was answer enough. Not like that. But he'd get angry. Said it was for my own good. To make me tough. Said the world eats the weak. My father said something similar once. Sophia admitted. The world isn't kind to the weak. But he was wrong. It's not about being strong or weak. It's about refusing to let evil win, about protecting those who need protection, including ourselves. The auditorium remained silent, witnessing something profound, a cycle breaking in real time. "I need help," Tyler whispered. "Then let's get you help." Sophia turned to the resource officer. "Officer Washington, can you connect Tyler with counseling services? No charges. He needs support, not punishment." Washington nodded, understanding in his eyes. "Come on, son. Let's make some calls." As they led Tyler away, he turned back. "I'm sorry. For everything. For Mason. For attacking you. For—" "Apology accepted. Now do the work to heal." The ceremony resumed, but the atmosphere had changed. What started as recognition had become something deeper, a demonstration of everything Sophia represented. Not just the courage to fight back, but the wisdom to know when not to fight. Her acceptance speech was brief. "A wise man once told me the world isn't kind to the weak. He taught me to fight, so I'd never be a victim. But what I've learned is that real strength isn't about combat. It's about courage. The courage to speak up, to stand up, to protect others, and to break cycles of violence. Every person in this room has that courage. Sometimes we just need someone to show us it's okay to use it." The applause this time felt different. Not just celebration, but understanding. Later, as the crowd dispersed, Sophia stood by her father's photo in her classroom. She'd hung it after the incident, no longer hiding her past. "You were wrong about one thing, Poppy," she whispered. "The world isn't just unkind to the weak. It's unkind to anyone who threatens the status quo. But you were right about everything else. Thank you for making sure I was never helpless." A knock interrupted her thoughts. Madison Evans, one of her best students, peered in. "Miss M, can I ask you something?" "Of course. My little sister. She's being bullied at her middle school. Pretty bad. The teachers won't help. Mom's complained. But nothing changes. I was wondering if I could teach her some moves." Sophia smiled. "Better. Bring her to the community center Saturday morning. I'm starting a free self-defense class for students." Madison's face lit up. "Really? Really? And Madison? Tell her it's not about learning to hurt people. It's about learning to never be a victim. There's a difference." As Madison left, Sophia looked around room 217. The same walls that had trapped her 6 months ago now felt like a sanctuary. Students had covered them with poetry, essays, artwork inspired by their readings. Literature had opened their minds, but her stand had opened their voices. Her phone buzzed. A text from Janet Coleman. "Saw the ceremony on the news. Tyler Bradley. Broke my heart. You're not just a hero. You're a healer. Thank you for showing us all how to break the cycle." Sophia smiled, tucking the phone away. Tomorrow she'd teach Act 3 of Romeo and Juliet, the part where violence begets violence, until love requires the ultimate sacrifice. Her students would understand it differently now, not as distant fiction, but as a warning about the cycles they could choose to break. The sun set over Jefferson High, painting the sky in shades of redemption. In classrooms across the country, teachers walked a little taller, spoke a little louder, felt a little safer, not because violence was the answer, but because someone had finally shown them they didn't have to suffer in silence. And in a juvenile counseling center across town, Tyler Bradley sat in his first therapy session, ready to unlearn the lessons of toxic masculinity that had poisoned his family for generations. The cycle was breaking. One choice, one voice, one stand at a time. Sometimes the pen is mightier than the sword. But sometimes, when the sword comes for you, it's okay to know how to fight back. The trick is knowing when to put the sword down and pick up the pen again. Sofia Martinez understood both, and that made all the difference. The video of Tyler Bradley's breakdown at the Teacher of the Year ceremony went viral within hours. But this time, the comments section told a different story. This is what breaking the cycle looks like. She could have pressed charges, but chose compassion instead. My daughter's school just announced mandatory anti-bullying training because of Miss Probla Grace Martinez. Former teacher here. I quit after being harassed. Seeing this makes me want to go back. 3 years later, Sofia stood before a very different audience. The National Education Association had invited her to address their annual conference. 10,000 educators filled the convention center, waiting to hear from the woman who'd changed everything. I see some of you brought boxing gloves, she joked, noting the merchandise tables selling self-defense gear. The laughter felt warm, supportive. We didn't just break Mason Bradley's hold on Jefferson High. Sofia said, we broke the culture of silence that protects predators everywhere. And we did it together. In the audience, Tyler Bradley sat with his therapy group. Now 20, he was studying to become a counselor himself. He caught Sofia's eye and nodded. She smiled back. My father once told me the world isn't kind to the weak. Sofia concluded, but I've learned something he didn't know. When we stand together, when we speak up, when we refuse to let evil win, we're never weak. We're unstoppable. The standing ovation lasted 12 minutes, but the real victory was in what happened next. Teachers sharing stories, students finding courage, cycle breaking, one voice, one stand, infinite ripples. The revolution wasn't televised. It was taught in classrooms across America, one lesson at a time. 5 years after that pivotal conference, the impact of Sofia's stand had spread far beyond anyone's imagination. The Martinez method had evolved from a simple self-defense program into a comprehensive approach to creating safer schools. But for Sofia, the most meaningful changes happened in the quiet moments, away from cameras and conferences. She still taught in room 217, though the space had transformed. Where fear once lurked in corners, creativity now bloomed. Student artwork covered every available surface, and a small plaque by the door read, "In this room, we choose courage over silence." One autumn afternoon, a familiar face appeared at her doorway. River Thompson, now 23, stood nervously in a tailored suit, a far cry from the terrified teenager who'd once cowered against her wall. "Miss Martinez, do you have a minute?" "River!" Sofia's face lit up. "Of course. Come in." He entered slowly, taking in the changes. "I wanted to thank you, properly, for saving my life that night. You saved yourself by speaking up." "No." His voice was firm. "You showed me it was possible to break free. I came out to my parents the week after Mason's trial. It was terrifying, but I kept thinking about your courage. If you could stand up to them physically, I could stand up to my truth." "How did they take it?" River's smile was bittersweet. "Dad didn't speak to me for a year. But Mom, she chose me. They're divorced now. And Dad's slowly coming around. I'm getting married next spring." He pulled out an invitation. "Michael and I would be honored if you'd attend." Sofia accepted the invitation with tears in her eyes. "I wouldn't miss it." "There's more." River continued. "I'm starting law school next fall, specializing in education law and student rights. I want to make sure what happened to Usto Sarachenever happens again." After River left, Sofia sat at her desk, overwhelmed by the ripple effects of that terrible night. Her phone buzzed with a text from Tyler Bradley. "Got accepted to the counseling program. Grandma says hi, and thanks you every day for saving me from Mason's path." The next morning brought an unexpected visitor. A middle-aged woman with graying hair and tired eyes knocked hesitantly. "Miss Martinez?" "I'm Patricia Coleman, Janet's mother." Sofia stood quickly. "Mrs. Coleman, please come in. I wanted to meet the woman who gave my daughter her life back. Patricia's voice trembled. After what those boys did to her, Janet barely left her house for 2 years. Wouldn't teach, wouldn't date, wouldn't trust anyone. But seeing you fight back, it changed something in her. How is she doing now? She's the principal at Riverside Elementary. 0 tolerance for bullying. And she means it. She's also engaged to a wonderful man who teaches 3rd grade. Patricia grasped Sophia's hands. You didn't just save yourself that night. You saved all of us who'd given up hope. As the school day ended, Sophia prepared for her evening class at the community center. What had started as a small self-defense group had grown into a movement. Tonight, 45 students would learn not just physical techniques, but the emotional and psychological tools to recognize and escape abuse. Officer Washington often assisted with the classes, bringing his law enforcement perspective. Remember, he'd tell the students, the goal isn't to win a fight, it's to survive and escape. Miss Martinez here could probably take me down, but she chooses not to. Most days, Sophia would add with a grin, making everyone laugh. The sun set over Jefferson High as Sophia locked room 217. Her lesson plans for tomorrow tucked under her arm. Shakespeare again, but this time teaching Hamlet's story about the cost of revenge versus the price of justice. Her students would understand the difference now. They lived it every day, choosing to build rather than destroy, to heal rather than hurt. The cycle hadn't just broken. From its shattered pieces, something beautiful had grown. As Sophia walked to her car, she noticed a new mural being painted on the school's exterior wall. Students had voted on the design, a phoenix rising from ashes, with words beneath it that made her pause. From silence to strength, the Martinez legacy. She smiled, thinking of her father. He'd taught her to fight, but she'd learned something more powerful: how to teach others to rise. The world might not be kind to the weak, but together, they were no longer weak. They were unbreakable.